Welcome back to the elephant in the room. If you've been here before, then I would like to welcome you home. If this is your first time here, then I'm really glad you found your way to this space. This is the kind of podcast where we talk about the things people usually keep tucked away. The struggles, the doubts, the hard questions, and the uncomfortable truths that church culture doesn't always make room for. And we talk about them honestly, with scripture underneath it all. So if you're ready to get rid of your elephants in the room, then as I said before, I'm glad you found your way to this space. But if you have a made-up mind that you're going to hold on to your elephants, then you might not want to listen to this show. My name is Pastor James, and this is The Elephant in the Room.
Hello, family. How are you doing? I hope everybody's doing well. It is almost a bit witchy now. It's about 9:13 Eastern time here in Richmond, Virginia. Last week, I had put out a posting, basically just a general post. If there's anything that anybody would like to hear me talk about or discuss, just shoot it out there. Because the whole concept is to talk with you, not at you. That's the whole concept. And I got a response from a young lady. She wanted to talk about the school system and how the school system is failing our children right now today. And, you know, that really hit home with me because about 6 years ago, maybe before I started dealing with all these surgeries, I was in the process of setting up a interview with Dr. Jailhouse, an author who wrote a book. Now, the book probably is about 44 years old. This was probably about 44 years ago, maybe a little older. He started doing a study in the 1970s about how the school system had a conspiracy to destroy black boys, and how the school system was failing black boys and pushing them toward limited futures in the marketplace. He even made a suggestion to diagnose this by making a call on all families and educators and churches and communities to get together and provide real alternatives. So let's fast forward to 2019, to the COVID outbreak. 2019 COVID outbreak. I'm trying to reel all this stuff in because when you look at something like 44 years ago, and then you have a major pandemic like the COVID-19 pandemic that lasted for quite some time, and how it changed the dynamics for young children that were starting out in school. You had sixth graders trying to do schoolwork on laptops, which I thought was really strange, and a big generation of those kids who are now 12 years old and 13 and 14 years old, they got literally lost. And I in my mind, I don't want to believe that was conspiratorial, but then again, Dr. Jailhouse studied this over 44 years ago, and he was talking about how it was conspiratorial, where there were the system was designed to minimize the ability of black youth. But now we're going to separate this thing from just color. From the way that I see it, that those that are at the disadvantaged rung of society are the ones that are being left behind. And as I was reading my the email that I received from the young lady, I mean, it's like, what are we doing right now with our kids and for our kids? You know, we got teenagers that, I mean, they do not have no respect for adults. They don't have no respect for teachers. They don't have no respect for their parents. They don't have no respect at all. And they're barely literate. They're barely literate. They can barely read or write. We talk about their phones being the problem. We point at their parents. We talk about their parents being the problem. We even talk about the music that they listen to being the problem. But I'm gonna have to always say when I'm preaching the word or preaching a sermon, 9 times out of 10, I'm talking about myself. And even in this situation, I have a great nephew that has some issues, some very serious issues. But beside that, I get angry with him as opposed to trying to understand his plight and change the dynamics of his situation. So even in that vein, I have to look at my own self in the mirror. But here's the truth of what is really going on. We are raising a generation of kids inside a pipeline. Think about that for a minute. We walk them through metal detectors every morning when they go to school. We search their clear, not unclear, but clear backpacks. And then we take a wand and wand them down to make sure that they don't have any type of weapons or anything. When they go to school in the morning, it's like every day they're entering a high security prison facility. And after they get wanded down and make it into school, then you got the school administrator, principal, normally a big guy, big lady, standing there with a bullhorn, shouting out directives like a correction officer or like a prison warden. So the kids go to school, they get wanded down, they have to go through a metal detector, and they're treated by the school administrator like they're prisoners. They're prisoners in school. And then, that's not the worst part of it. If the bell ring, because typically you got the first bell to ring to get the children in class, catch their attention, and then you got another bell that rings, and if the kids aren't in school by that time, they're considered tardy, and oh my goodness, they're treated like prison escapees. Like prison escapees. And all of this is going on, and we don't even think about what type of weight those kids might be carrying when they come to school. Some of them might come to school, they got the little lunch program where they can eat breakfast in the morning. Some of these kids might even come to school with empty bellies where they don't have no food at home to eat breakfast. They may have 1 or 2 parents in the house. They might be considered latchkey kids. This was something that was going on when I was a preteen. My mother and my father was not at home when I got up in the morning because they both had to work. I had the door key, and I also had the responsibility of making sure that my brothers and sisters made it off to school, and then I made it off to school in time. But I was a preteen. I was, maybe 14, 15? That was not my responsibility. But because my mom and dad, my parents, both had to work, it was thrown down to me. The uncared for responsibility of ensuring that my siblings, which was 4, 5, and 6 years younger than me, was okay. So essentially, I was basically put in a position to where I had to help raise my brothers and sisters for just a brief period of time to get them to school, and then ensure that I got home in time before them to unlock the door, latchkey, to make sure that they made it home. So right now, with all these dynamics, and we're looking all the way back to the 1970s when Dr. Jawanza was studying this issue about kids going from the schoolhouse to the jailhouse. Can anybody, by a show of hands, tell me why this is still happening almost 45, 50 years ago, and today it's still taking place? Crickets. That's what I thought. The system is as broken as the households. Who are parenting these kids today? You got the internet, there's social media, you got algorithmic. I knew I was going to mess this up, but algorithm. I can't say that word, y'all. This is crazy. And I looked at it over and over and over and over and over again, but I'm not going to even try to say it. I'm going to move away from it. But you got these things generating outrage in our kids. I don't know how many times I have heard somebody say, a kid to me, say, bro, what's up, bro? 10, 11, 12-year-old kid. Bro. That irritates me. That angers me. But then I got to think about what's happening with him or what's happening with them. Their minds are being institutionalized and they don't even realize it because of social media. Social media is basically institutionalizing their minds. And then if we move from there to homes and we go inside of the schools, step into the building, we got teachers in there that are exhausted, underpaid, and under-supported, and then completely stripped of the tools they need to actually maintain order and teach the kids. I was looking at a YouTube video where a teenage boy literally punched a female teacher in the face and knocked her out. And then I seen another video where a teenage boy was actually trying to fight a teacher, a grown man, and he in turn knocked the student out. I am not advocating violence on no form, no ledger of the situation. I'm not advocating violence. I don't think it was right for the teacher to retaliate, and I definitely don't think it was right for whatever may have been happening prior for the student to hit the teacher like that. And you know, the thing that really bothers me is instead of us fixing the root issue, the institution responds with culture lockdown. They lock the doors, they lock the restrooms, and they basically deny these kids basic human needs under the disguise of security, ensuring that the school itself is safe. We got to lock everything down and lock everybody out. Keep outside eyes out, keep the nurses out, keep the school advocates out, keep anyone out who might witness how bad it really is inside of these schools. This is exactly what we have created. We have created an environment where teachers can't teach, students aren't learning, and the primary lesson being taught every single day from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. is just plain old compliance and threat under penalty of breaking school rules or laws. That's all these kids is learning. It's compliance, how to comply with the rules. But they're not learning how to read. They're not learning how to write. They're not learning how to interact. And then we get, we sit back and we wonder how a 12-year-old kid can come out of the school system at 18 years old and be a non-productive citizen, non-productive to society. Well, for all of his life, we already trained him on being locked down. They haven't learned how to do anything other than to act like a prisoner. And so we scratch our heads with wonderment when they get out of the school system and go straight to the prison system. That's exactly what Dr. Kwanzaa was talking about 44 or 50 years ago. He was talking about how the schools are training up generations and generations and generations of prisoners. And this is really, really, really bothering me. I want to try to bring it down just a little bit, because I don't want nobody to think that every kid and every parent and every teacher is failing. I don't want to take a broad brush and paint all these kids as failures. While I was in Aberdeen, Maryland, I ran into a great group of kids that was doing marvelous things. So despite all of what is going on, despite the chaos that these kids are going through, there are definitely parents who are doing everything that they can. They're grinding every single day, trying to give their kids a fighting chance. No matter what the finances situation might be, they're struggling and they're surviving. So real support matters. This is a very complex and convoluted web of economic pressure, mental health, and institutional decay. But there is a solution. There is a solution. We got to take this phrase, it takes a village to raise a child. Take it off the bumper sticker on your car, and put it into reality. People retreat into their homes. They close their doors, lock their deadbolts, and pretend the world outside their front lawn isn't their problem. But I got news for you. A village isn't a passive concept. A village is people looking out for one another. It's checking on the neighbor's kids. It's holding each other accountable. It's offering support before a family reaches a breaking point. So if we don't stop the bleeding right now, this thing, it does not turn around on its own. The pipeline will continue to open up and begin to move faster and faster and faster. When we set up our kids in a jailhouse where fear, surveillance, and zero tolerance take over, schools stop feeling like places of learning and start looking like places of confinement. So we have to stop blaming the youth for reacting to the broken world we handed them. And we have to demand schools to teach, protect, and restore the very building that was built by our hands to teach our children. We have to remove the fear of detention and encourage the open door policy. Step back into the community and support our families before they drown. The elephant in the room, people, family, I like to call you my family because that's what you really are. You are my family. The elephant in the room is this. The kids are not failing us. We are failing them. And it is time we act like the adults in the room. Isaiah chapter 1 and 17 tells us this. Learn to do good, seek justice, correct oppression, bring justice to the fatherless, plead the widow's cause. That indeed is not a slogan. That is a charge. So unlock your doors and rebuild the village. Protect the children and never forget, when we lift one child, we raise the whole community. Thank you for tuning in to The Elephant in the Room. If this hit home for you, I want you to share it with somebody who needs to hear it. Leave a review. Join me in a conversation. And remember this: real change does not start in a policy moment. It starts right outside your front door. Until next time, keep your eyes open and speak the truth. My name is Pastor James, and this has been The Elephant in the Room. I love you, and until next time, keep your head up and your eyes to the sky, because God is for real, and He's right there on your side. Peace.